This is Around the Hornet, a show where we preview games, highlights, and a lot more, including interviews. Today, we'll discuss about the men's basketball championship game and their third title in 5 years. And then we'll also discuss about the women's basketball team and their run all the way to the third round. I'm your co-host, Travis Foerster, and alongside me is my co-host, Bryan Vila. So, Bryan, what did you think about the men's basketball game over the weekend?
Honestly, I think that game was a really good game. They won, but they only won by a 3-point difference. And I know last season they played against the same team, and it was a different result. They actually lost that game, so it was kind of cool seeing them get that game back.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it because everybody expected them to win the first game, and then they weren't sure after that whether or not they were going to win the semis or even get to the championship game as well. I could tell that the first game, it was a little bit of the jitterbugs for them because first games are always tough when you're not playing on your own court, especially on a neutral site, because that first game against San Jose was really physical, but they were able to adjust to it after like the first 10 or 15 minutes of the game. And then after that, they didn't allow the officiating to get the best of them, and they just started playing their game.
Yeah, and from all the other games, they completely dominated all the other teams up until that San Francisco game. Like, I know they beat Santa Rosa 90-65, so it's like a 30-point difference almost.
Yeah, and that was a good thing is that they took it to them from like the opening tip. Like, they didn't mess around. You could tell that they found their groove by that time. And then the third game was a little bit of a struggle. But again, when you get a championship game, you're going to be facing the best. And San Francisco, you could tell, was the best team up north for that reason for a second consecutive year. And they're defending state champions. So you know it wasn't going to be easy to get the W. You're going to work really hard, especially for 40 minutes. And especially being down at halftime and being able to make those adjustments at halftime and find a way to win. That's really key.
Yeah, I know. Ja'Cory Miles actually stepped up and got like 25 points, so he was like their leading man for that victory.
Yeah, Donovan Pitts only had like 2 points in that game, but here's the thing that's probably not giving the stat sheet is the way he played defensively too, taking away their best scores too. That's why he was a Defensive Orange Empire Conference Player of the Year for that reason. Mm-hmm. And you need other guys, like you said, to step up like a Ja'Cory Miles. Because, I mean, Ja'Cory Miles is actually a really good defender. I saw him in 2 games, especially that second game that I was there covering the story against Palomar. That was his best defensive performance I ever saw from him. Like, he was staying in front of his guys. He was getting on the glass. And it was not just on the defensive side. It was even on the offensive side as well, keeping possessions alive. And you need guys like that, too. Yeah, their defense, I thought, was a lot better this year compared to a year ago. I think it's because they're rebounding as a team. It's not you go get it, you go get it. It's like, no, I'm going to go get it. Like, you tell, like, they took responsibility upon themselves to go get the ball for their team.
Yeah. Like, I know last season they heavily relied on Joe Grahovic to get those rebounds because he was the biggest man on there, you know. And last season, he got, like, Defensive Player of the Year and he got MVP, I believe, yeah. And we mentioned Donovan Pitts only got, I think, 2 or 3 points in that game, but he got the most minutes. He got 40 minutes. He played almost the whole game. So he's definitely a good player for them.
Yeah, and you need to have balance, too. Because, like you said, last year, when you're relying so much on Joe Graviehawk to get all the rebounds, especially do all the scoring on the interior, you need to have other guys that could step up. And this team was so balanced, 1 through 5. Even their bench was really good this year. The one coming off the bench that really impressed me the most was MJ Smith. That Irvine Valley game where they were really struggling, especially on the defensive side, because Irvine Valley plays that Princeton-style offense, and that style of offense is really difficult to guard too. You have to be like very well disciplined. Because usually like placing the big guy at the mid post, and then usually what they do is they like backdoor cutting people one-on-ones. They want to see whether or not if you're paying attention. If you're playing up a little bit too much, you can't see them when it's man and ball. So they just backdoor cut you, and they're just going to get layups because they want to open up the floor, especially the bottom part of the floor for layups. Or they're screening each other off the ball too for those curls and those cuts, or the curls for those 3-point shots. I felt that when MJ Smith came in the game, it was like 6 minutes into it, they were probably down by like 2 points at the time. It was a different story. Like defensively, he was able to recover. Even when he got beat a few times, he blocked like 3 shots. There was one on the wing where I wasn't sure if he was going to get to his defender and recover. He just put his hand up there and he just literally blocked the shot. I couldn't believe it, dude. He just swatted that ball out of bounds. And then on the opposite side of the wing in the first half, same thing. Just put his hand up there, swat it right. And you think, okay, he's going to put that shot up there. No, And then same way, when the guy beat him backdoor, he was still able to recover and still swat that shot off the rim, and it led to a transition point right there. Like, you need to have energizer guys coming off the bench that can provide and produce.
Yeah, and kind of moving from that, they ended up finishing their season 32-1, and their only loss was away from home, actually. I believe they lost, I think, in the beginning of the season. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, that was against West LA. And what's crazy about that was their defense was not good. They gave up like 92 points in that game. Oh. And then after that, you could tell that their defense started getting better as the season went along, too. Because they beat West LA in that Fullerton tournament. It was in that championship game. Mm-hmm. I think they beat them by like a good 15 points, but it was back and forth in that game. And speaking of that West LA game, that was a team that they faced in the third round, which led them into the state quarterfinals. And that game, I felt out of all the games that I've seen in person, that was the best defensive performance that I've seen from that team. Besides that dunk that West LA had to start off the game, wire-to-wire win for them. Like, you could tell that James Patterson, there's a underrated defender right there. He just gets up on your grill. And when he's up defensively and he's intense and into it, it makes all the other defenders look really good. Like Braden Smith, there's another guy. I thought he got better defensively as the season went along, too. I thought he did a little bit better getting on the glass. I know the guards had to get on the glass, too, which was good. But to have Braden Smith to get into double digits and rebounds as well, that takes a lot of pressure off your guards as well because it allows you to get out in transition, too. Because that's another key to Fullerton's game is getting out in transition.
And earlier in their conference season, Santiago Canyon's athletic director actually said that there was no clear favorite in the conference, that Fullerton College wasn't like the favorite even though they were champions last season. But clearly that wasn't true because the Hornets went undefeated in the conference. They went 14-0 and they beat Santiago Canyon as well.
Yeah, I think Perry Webster does a really good job of recruiting, but especially developing athletes too, and that's the key thing. If you want to have a good team, you have to be able to develop them, and they have to gel as a team too. Like November and December, it's going to be tough, because you're going to have new teammates and you'll have a few returning teammates here and there, but they have to be able to gel and play as a team, whether it's offensively or defensively, communication-wise, style of play. Yeah, you tell their style of play was a lot different on the offensive side of the ball. There was more of, we're going to spread the floor out, and then we're going to play one-on-one if we possibly can, try to beat you off the dribble, or we'll play the little pick and roll and pick and pop stuff. And then even if they bring that third person over, we could kick it out to three-point shooters. I mean, they weren't strong from the outside, but when they had open looks, they'll hit them consistently. I mean, I know overall for the season, they only shot like 32% from the outside, but they were still good on the glass, that they were able to rebound and get those putbacks or even draw fouls. That was another reason why they won that San Francisco game, was because they were driving so much and they were drawing fouls. Because if you look at the box score, they had 31 attempts compared to San Francisco's 13 attempts. Besides taking away like the intentional fouls, it would be like 25-13. And that's one of the reasons why they won the game, because they hit key free throws. And when you talked about Jakari Miles, he was at the free throw line. I think he hit like the last 4 free throws of the game too, in a pressure situation when they were up by 2 both times. And you got to be able to hit free throws at the end of the game. And the other thing that Bobby Knight says a lot before he passed away, if you don't hit your free throws, then you better be able to get defensive stops. It's got to be one or the two. Yeah, a good thing was they took away the three-point line from San Francisco at the end of the game. Made it pretty much to a point that you got to be trading baskets with us. Because Perry Webster, I could tell, trusts the fact that his guys could hit free throws at the end of the game, especially Jakari Miles. I could tell that he wanted to make sure that he got it in his hands. And that's what you need. You have clutch free throw shooters at the end of the game. All right, so let's move over to softball, where the softball team with 4-1 this past week, including a 3-game sweep over Cypress College in the Orange Empire Conference play. So that moves them up to 4-2 now in conference play. After the previous week, they avoided a sweep from Orange Coast, where they lost 2 out of 3 from the Pirates. And Brian, what are your thoughts about last week's performance by the softball team in their sweep with Cypress?
Honestly, I think softball has been one of those sports where it's like every season, for example, just like the basketball team, every season they're like competitors. They have like what it takes to reach the playoffs and like reach state and all that. Like I think softball is one of those teams where like the other team sees that they're playing against them and they're gonna get scared because they know that the Hornets are really good.
Yeah, well, I was impressed with the softball team. I think they're going to make a deep run. I wouldn't be surprised if they make it to state this year, is their pitching. I know they don't have Aiden Carlson, but they still have their ace, Grace Workman. That's a really good pitcher. I know she struggled against Cypress on Friday, but I still think she's going to be able to rebound, still be a solid pitcher. And then they have Emma Gomez. That's their fastball pitcher, and she throws really hard, and she has a really good rise ball, and she goes in and out of the strike zone. You kind of need that from a pitcher. And then you got the transfer from Mount Sac, Sam Vizcarra, and she's more of an off-speed pitcher, but she really throws your timing off, too. She has like a knuckle curve that will go from the inside of the batter's box to the opposite side of the batter's box. And then she's got a solid curve ball. She's got a great changeup, too, when she throws it correctly and properly, too, because she throws hitters' timings off, too. She's got a few batters, like, ahead of that pitch, too, where they're trying to pull that pitch, and they just, like, miss it because of that. I think that's going to be the key for Fullerton is their pitching. Yeah, now, their defense is a little bit susceptible at times, but I think their pitching can pick them up at times when they do struggle. And then their offense, Lisa Villanueva, she's having a breakout year. She hit a solo home run on Tuesday in that 1-0 win over Cypress College, where there was no runs. You had to play a little bit of small ball. And in that game, I got to give Emma Gomez some credit. She was like really nervous when I interviewed her, especially in that 4th inning when Fullerton made that error off that bunt. Like Sanai Smith, I could tell she was a little bit upset after she made that error. But Emma just like really picked her up from there. After they had like another sacrifice bunt that moved the runners up to second and third, she just like dialed in, struck out the next 2 batters, got out of that inning. I just told myself, I believe they're going to win this game.
Yeah.
Just because of that inning, because that inning was crucial. Because I thought that error, I'm like, okay, this could be either a big inning for Cypress or Fullerton's going to get out of it. And if Fullerton gets out of it, they're more than likely going to hold them off. Because they only had like one other threat, and that was in the 6th inning with that 2-out double into left center field. After that, Emma Gomez, I think, got a ground ball over to Zoe Bautista. That ended the ending right there, and then after that, she just shut the door down from there.
Yeah, I think with that happening after like making an error, she just brings up her confidence after striking out those 2 batters to get out of that inning. And after that, she's just like, her confidence is sky high, so she just swept everyone after that. And then moving back to Lisa Villanueva, she actually hit a walk-off home run on Friday's game against Cypress. What did you think of that, Travis?
Oh, I was really impressed. Actually, it was kind of interesting. So I went up to Speedy a little bit because we have a good relationship. We talk to each other. And Speed told me when Lisa came up to bat, right away, she knew that she was going to hit that walk-off home run out of 8 of the batters, too. And what's kind of crazy with Lisa Villanueva, she loves that inside pitch. And she just like gets her hands out so quickly, especially even if it's a low fastball too. Because usually if you're a right-hander, you like anything near like eye level. Like lefties, you like anything that's low. So it's kind of the opposite. She reminds me of like Mike Trout, where she likes the low pitches. Yeah, like she got her hands out there too, and she just like smashed that ball. When I saw it, I'm like, yep, that's a home run walk-off. And what's crazy was they gave up 3 runs in that top half of the inning too, when they were up 8-5, and Cypress was down to their last 3 outs, and they had to bring Grace Workman back in too after they had Emma Gomez try to finish off the game, because Grace Workman started the game and then she kind of struggled. So then Gomez came out, I think it was the 4th inning, and she did all right, But again, like when you're Cypress, you're facing them a second time. You're going to be able to make the adjustments that you need to, and that's what was going to happen. She fought through it. I'll give her credit. She got out of it, and then she did just enough to allow Workman to do a rest. And then Workman just wasn't able to fish it off in the top half. But again, her players picked her up. I think what I liked about this game was Fullerton didn't look good their first 3 innings. They were just really flat because they had that 5-run, 8-run inning rule where they won 8-0 over Cypress because they won the first 2 games of the series. And then when they were up to the plate, it was really quiet in the dugout. They weren't playing with that high energy, that high octane offense that they showed on the day before. And they weren't there mentally. And then in the middle of that 4th inning, after they gave up a run to Cypress, and Cypress was up 2-0, the coaches, I'm not talking about just the co-head coaches, like all the coaches, including the pitching coach, the hitting coaches, they had all the players out there in between innings, especially in the right field line. They just had major speech. You could tell that the co-head coach was just not happy with this team. Oh, man. You could tell that she got really animated. Yeah, and they got that opportunity, too, to talk to them. And I think what Crystal was trying to do was trying to calm them down, try to reset, try to get them back to playing their game, playing with a little bit more energy, a little bit more intensity. And I noticed it changed the whole complexion of the game because they scored 2 runs in that inning. By then, I know both teams went back and forth, but I told myself by then, I think they're going to win this game.
Yeah, and going back to how you said that the Hornets were up 8-5 and they gave up 3 runs, I found it impressive how the Hornets were actually able to like keep their composure and not like get down on themselves because they gave up the lead and late in the inning when they only had 3 outs left, and Lisa was able to give up that or make the walk-off home run.
Yeah. I mean, this is a great group of kids too. Yeah, because in the fall they had like 30. I think they're down to like 20 kids now, and they have like 2 transfers already named one of them, and then they have another one from Cyprus as well that's supposed to be really good at shortstop. And then they still have returning players that have gotten better, like Tuafo Pua. She had a breakout performance driving in 3 runs right there too, especially that 2-run RBI double that she had, and that was back in the 5th inning when Cypress was up like 5-2 at the time, because they scored a run before that. They cut into the deficit. And then Zoe Batista had a big game too, especially in the 9-hole. She drove in 3 runs as well. She had like an RBI sacrifice fly, and then she had 2-run RBI double as well too. And it didn't even go up against the wall either. It was just the left fielder just threw it to the cough man, and Zoe Batista said, okay, I'll take the extra base, and she slid in there safely. And it was good to see that Zoe Batista had a breakthrough performance as well. She works really hard too, and especially for a 9-hole hitter, to be able to drive in runs and find a way to get on base is really crucial, because now it rotates that top of the lineup up and allows your top of the lineup now to be able to drive in those runs as well. Like I know as a softball, there's always a lot of small ball in that game too. Yeah, like Fullerton played a little bit of small ball too. Like Faith Kruger, who is their 3 hitter, supposed to be usually your power hitters. Your power hitter is supposed to be your 3 hitters and your cleanup hitters. And she just places like a solid bunt down. I told myself, we'll see if JJ's going to make it to home plate. But she got a good jump. She got underneath the tag, too, because there was runners on 3rd and 2nd at the time with, like, 1 out. I think that changed that whole inning right there, too, because they scored 6 runs in that inning because of that. Because Lisa Villanueva drew a walk, and then Tufa Pure almost cleared the bases, like I said, with that 2-run RBI double.
All right, now we're moving on to women's basketball and their playoff run. I know they throughout the whole season, they actually ended with a losing record. They ended 15-16 overall and 5-7 in the conference, but they still managed to make the playoffs, and they actually made a pretty good run, defeating number 10 Santa Barbara. What do you think led them to that run?
Yeah, I think like what Coach just said when I briefly heard while I was at the baseball game, I think they just came out with more energy and more intensity, and that was the key thing to this game. It wasn't like anything based like on stats wise. They just came out with like nothing to lose, We're just going to be the aggressors. And when you're the aggressors, it's going to lead to a good result because the second half, you tell that Santa Barbara made a run. You're going to be able to make a run, especially on your home court, and make the adjustments. Before to just did a nice job. And what you're talking about a lot is composure. You got to be able to contain that too and still play your game. You got to be able to answer runs because in basketball, it's a game of runs. And you have to be able to answer those runs, whether it's hitting a three, make a layup, hitting your free throws, or getting a stop. And you tell that they hit those 4 categories. And when you hit each of those categories, you got a great shot of winning those type of basketball games.
Honestly, I don't even know what else to mention.
Yeah, and then the second game against Mount San Jacinto, I think winning that game against Santa Barbara just really helped them out. I think it propelled them into the next game. It boosted their confidence up. I think they believed that they could win that next game as well. Sometimes the first game, like we talked about with the men's basketball team at state, can be the toughest, just same way in the playoffs. But especially when you're like an underdog and you're not expected to win, you're just going to play loose. And that's what the women's team has been doing each and every game, is just playing loose. They did the same thing against Mount San Jacinto. And then Irvine Valley, especially that sophomore night where they lost by 24 points on their home court, that was the one that concerned me a little bit. I wanted to see which team was going to show up, especially in that third round going through Irvine Valley. And you tell that they gave them a battle and they fought.
Yeah, that game was a low-scoring game. It ended 46-39.
Yeah.
Either the offensive side was struggling on both ends of the court, or it was just a really good defensive game.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And you tell, like, in that game, it was pretty much, it came down to stops, rebounds, and then turnovers. Because you got to be able to protect the basketball. Yeah, if you can't win the boards, then you better be really good at taking care of the basketball and getting to the free throw line. And that's all that we have for today's show. So join us next week as we'll have more topics and discussions on sports. For my co-host, Brian Vila, this is Travis Foerster.